Currently joined with my guest, Dolores Cannon.
The other person in the trance and get to say goodbye to them and have the closure. People coming to me for cancer.
How can cancer be cured? I mean, surely doctors must be looking at your work and thinking, well, how has this lady
I have
done
doctors
this?
taking my classes.
Really?
Yes, and they're including it in their own practice. Well, you're not supposed to ever be sick. Never. The body is a miraculous machine that has been created to take care of itself and heal itself if we don't interfere. But you make yourself sick. And if the mind is powerful enough to make yourself sick, it's also powerful enough to heal you. First we got to find out why. Why did you do this to yourself? What were you trying to tell yourself? Every disease is the body talking to you. Now cancer, most of the cases we have found, is caused by suppressed anger. If the person could just talk about what was bothering them, but they don't, they hold it inside. They always say, I don't have any problems, you're the ones with the problems.
Well, that's what responsibility, and say no matter how they feel about taking the responsibility,
if they would
they've
just
got to
talk
say
about it.
Yeah.
And sometimes it goes way back to childhood, but they hold it inside. So after a while, the anger begins to churn around, finally eat away at the organs and creates cancer.
But it must be hard for someone to take responsibility for themselves.
It is.
You know,
That's
to say
my,
that
that's my
they've
part
caused it.
as a therapist and a counselor, to get them to talk about it and we figure out where it comes from.
But when you become ill, are you saying then that every illness you've had, you've brought on yourself?
Yeah, but I don't get sick.
What, because you're more balanced than most
No,
people?
because I know how it works.
Right.
Once you figure it out, you don't get sick.
Okay.
One thing they told us, the side effect of doing what you love, what you're supposed to be doing, the side effect is perfect health.
So when you're totally in tune with yourself
In tune with what you're supposed
and
to
what
be
you're
doing,
supposed to be doing,
you don't get sick.
not even the common cold, or?
Well, a common cold would mean you're working too hard. They want you to rest.
But you're talking about life-changing illnesses.
Yeah, things you do need doctors for.
No, obviously, you know, there's a procedure you have to go through, and you can, you know, push away mainstream medicine. But I mean, you know, if you wanted a quicker healing process, if you've had a really severe accident, then can your work
You can do
help?
it. That hypnosis will do that. It'll speed up healing. You can control bleeding. You control a lot of things with hypnosis.
Okay.
But in the method I use, we go right to the source of what it is. Why did you have this? What were you trying to tell yourself?
That's your message right
And there's
now.
a lot of forgiveness in there too.
Is that the same for the people we bring into our lives sometimes? If we've
Mm-hmm.
had someone that's very, very hurtful in our life and someone that's not treated us very well, whatever the circumstance,
Well, you know, that's
attracted
karma that you are prepaying from other lifetimes. And you made contracts with these people to come into your life so you could work these things out.
But what kind of loving God would want you to sort of have pay back a karmic debt, though?
Why does God always get the blame for everything? God doesn't do it. We do it to ourselves.
But, okay,
You create the karma in the first place. God doesn't.
true.
In another life, you did things you shouldn't have done with somebody else. It's a law. It's a law. It goes around, comes around.
Isn't that just part of the process of living, though,
Yes.
of having these different experiences? And if what you're saying, we agree before we come down it to, you know, I'll you know, help you with this if you do this for me, you know, whatever
Yes.
the contract may
But
be.
you know,
before we
when you
come
get
down.
caught up in a life, we do things we shouldn't. Then when you're on the spirit side, after you have died, you go over your life and you say, oh, I shouldn't have done that.
Is there a wrong or right, though?
And then you say, okay, let's go back and do it again. We didn't do a very good job. This time you be the husband, I'll be the wife. You be the mother, I'll be the child.
Oh,
and
right.
you repay it.
So what you're saying here is that there's no external source judging us, we're judging ourselves.
We judge ourselves, and there's no harsher judge than you yourself.
So we are being our own God in that sense?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So,
You can't blame it on external forces.
no, so let's sum this up. Take responsibility for your own actions. Everything
Yeah.
that happens in your life, you take responsibility
You
for. That's
put
your
there,
message.
yes. And then forgive those that have hurt you, and that's getting rid of the old karma.
That's difficult, though, isn't it?
Oh, it is. It's difficult. None of this is easy. People have said, how can I forgive them? You don't know what they did to me. But who is it harming? Not harming them, it's harming you. And you have to come back again the next time with the same people in the same
Do
circumstances.
you have to come back?
Because you haven't got it worked out, have you?
Are you forced to come back?
No, you do it yourself. Because if you go through the life and have still not worked it out, and I've had people go through 3 or 4 different lifetimes and same people, same circumstances, when are they going to learn the lesson? When are they going to get it? They haven't got it yet, you got to come back and do it again. They'll tell me, I don't want to come back with them.
And again, these lessons that you're referring to are lessons that we've set for ourselves.
But they haven't, this is karma.
Yeah.
And I'll say you have to come back with that same person and do it again if you don't get rid of it now. Well, I don't want to come back with them, and I said you better deal with it now then.
Yeah.
Or it'll be worse next time.
So in this lifetime, it is really important to deal with our problems and try not. But then some problems we can't seem to sort out. I mean, if it's a family member that does not want to sort things out, you can't force
then
anyone.
it's their karma.
Okay.
You take responsibility for your part in it.
Okay.
Forgiving them. You don't have to say it to them. Just forgive it in
It's
your
just a
mind.
mental projection. There's no room to write a letter.
Then
as such.
it's their karma. It's their problem.
Okay.
It's off of you. That's the main thing. See how people make themselves sick.
I can.
Do a lot of soul searching.
Love is the only answer, is it?
It is. Love is the only thing that's real. Okay.
Clients, a lot of them, I would say, must have always gone back to having past lives on other planets.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this leads me into the ideas of the whole extraterrestrials and life on other planets. Now, tell me about life on other planets and how they've got it right compared to us.
They're much more informed than we are. We're at the bottom. We've got a lot to learn. They have got their act together. But I've spent 25 years investigating the UFO and ET phenomena. And yes, we have all had lives on other planets and as ETs. You got to remember, you are not a body, you have a body. This is just a costume, a suit of clothes you're wearing right now to play this part. Other lives, you've had other costumes that look like ETs to play that part. Each life has a lesson. But I've had so many, hundreds and hundreds of these, all kinds of planets, all kinds of circumstances. We're the only one in the universe that has free will. That's the difference. And we're the only one in the universe that forgets when we come in. We forget our connections to God, to the source. They remember. They know what they're doing.
How can you know? How can you remember? I mean, how does that work?
That's what you're trying to do now, is to get back and remember. So they say the veil is thinning. We're having the awakening going on right now. That's what this is all about. Things are changing.
So what have we got wrong on this planet? What's the sort of message that's come through compared to others? What are we doing that's not working?
We're trying to stumble our ways back to remember where we came from and why we are here. Because you came back in, you made contracts with people. Let's go back and do this again. You made a plan. This is what I want to do when I come back in. Earth is nothing but a school. You go through the different grades and learn lessons in order to progress onward. But one of the major things with this school on Earth is when you come in, the veil comes down and you forget your plan. You forget your connections. And the ETs say, this is most amazing because they don't forget. They said, you're the only planet that forgets when they come in, have to find their way back. And I asked them one time when we were doing the sessions, why this happens? Wouldn't it be better if we remembered our contracts, if we remembered our plan of what we were supposed to be doing? They said it wouldn't be a test if you knew the answers.
But
this is the hardest school in the universe.
But what's their test then?
They've already done it. They have much easier lives than we do. This is the most challenging planet in the universe. You come here, you come prepared to really learn a lot, and it's very, very difficult. Not everybody chooses to come here.
So are you saying our future lives possibly could be on other planets where you don't need to go through such tough challenges?
You've already been on them before anyway.
So why go? Why would a soul want to come de-evolve then if it's coming here? Is de-evolve? Is it de-evolving?
No, it's not.
Coming
It's
here,
just
or?
a different form. They learn a lot by coming here because it is so challenging. There's so much you have to learn that it's very hard. They said they greatly admire anyone who takes on the Earth's challenge. have to be very brave to
So I
come here.
suppose sometimes you might want a break from coming back here. Where would you go?
The resting place. So I've written books on the spirit side and what it's like over there and all the places you go to, what it's like to die and where you go. And the spirit side is beautiful, and you go to the level that your vibration and frequency resonates to. So hopefully when you go back, you'll go a little higher each time. But there's beautiful, wonderful places over there. But say, for instance, you have died of a traumatic death or you've had a very hard life, you don't want to get right back on the wheel of karma again. So then you go to the resting place
Right, well,
for as long as it takes.
with Dolores Cannon, where we've been discussing all kinds of subjects, from past life regression to the ET topic as well, haven't we, Dolores? Now, we did at the last break just talk about the whole idea of the ET aspect and how different people and different races, you know, go through this whole school of karmic learning school, as you say.
Mm-hmm.
And would you say that obviously that some of the karmic schools have different planets and ways of learning as well? Not all planets have the same karmic lessons, do they?
They all have different lessons based on what their planet is all about. But see, I've also gone into, there's many, many other universes too, where other ETs are living. And some of those universes have different laws and different responsibilities and different things. We're just knowing about Earth. We have no idea of the enormity that's going on out there.
Now, how do you get your head around that? Different universes?
Different universes.
Wow, okay. And again, with different laws and everything?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Some of these universes have planets that are square, oblong. They'd have orbits that are elliptical, or they do loop-de-loop. And I kept saying, but that doesn't follow the law of physics. They said the law of physics on this universe.
Right.
But other universes have totally different laws and rules, as well as karmic, as well as what the beings go through. We're just limited by thinking just of this little tiny planet Earth.
Is that the same as sort of saying another dimension or interdimensional travel?
Oh, that's a different thing.
Is it? Right,
Yeah.
okay. So we're not talking about multiverse here, are we? Or
Well, it goes along with that. But I've explored it all. It depends on what you want to focus on.
Well, yeah, I mean, one of the things I want to focus on as well is this, you know, the whole ET craze. I mean, why did, from your work that you've looked into, why did the sort of ET craze happen around the 40s when Roswell happened? Or have they always been here?
They've been here since the beginning of the world. They've always been here. They're the ones that created life on Earth. So all they're doing is watching over us and taking care of us since the beginning of time. So they've been here forever. Now we've noticed them, but they've always been around. They've been taking care of us because they were responsible for creating life on Earth.
Different civilizations or one civilization?
People. They created people. And then they had to help, as the species developed, they had to help them to learn things. So they lived among them, teaching them things. Every culture in the world has the legend of the culture bringer, like the Indians have their corn woman, the different one who taught them how to plant. Each civilization, culture has the culture bringer. And in all of those legends, the culture bringer comes from across the sea or from the sky. And these ETs lived among these people to teach them what they needed to know. And because they don't die until they're ready to die, they became known as gods and goddesses, and that's where all your legends of gods and goddesses came from.
And is a lot of this sort of tied into mainstream religion then? Some of the, you know, old texts that refer back to, you know, these particular kind of situations?
Yeah, because they've been here since the beginning, helping us and showing us what to do. But they can't interfere. See, that's one of the main things. They said, give this beautiful planet a creature with knowledge and intelligence and free will and see what he does with it. We're the only planet in the universe that has free will.
But how can you create free will? I mean,
They give us free will to see what we were going to do with
so
it.
the free will in the sense of, you're saying our free will is that we believe we're alone.
No, we believe we can do anything we want. That's free will. But also one of the other regulations was the law of non-interference, the Star Trek law. It's not fiction, it's real. Once a civilization has started developing, they cannot interfere with its development.
Well, is it not true that Gene Roddenberry, he actually channeled a lot of his information, or had the
He
information
didn't channel
channeled?
it.
No, he didn't, but
Phyllis Schlemmer did.
yes. Yeah. And
He lived in her house for 20 years.
is that on public record?
Well, I know about it because I know Phyllis and I know all the people that were involved. He lived in her house for 20 years and they had channeling sessions where most famous people in the world sat in on these sessions. So what he did was take the information that was coming through, and he had the knowledge and the ability to turn it into stories and make it into eventually TV.
So it was never really his original work. It's
Well,
what's
it was
out there.
adapted, but
Yeah.
you know, with channeling, he had to take the ideas and the stories and make the characters. So she was the catalyst that started it.
Well, for us to be having this conversation right now on TV, there must be a great change happening in the world.
Oh yes, there's a terrific change happening. We're living in very exciting times right now. Things that have never happened in the history of the universe are happening right now.
So what do you see this change as?
Well, they're extremely positive. We finally are getting our act together, and they're allowing things to move. The entire Earth is moving into another dimension. Another vibrations and frequencies of the whole Earth are changing to what's called the New Earth. And this is in the Bible, too, in the book of Revelations, when they talk about the new heaven and the new earth. It's just that it's happening right now.
And what are these changes going to be once they've happened? I mean, is the economy part of the change?
Oh, economy won't matter at all.
Well, the collapse of the current economy. I mean, is this part of this big change that's going on?
You call it collapse, and we don't. Is that the world you're living in? Okay. It all depends on what world you're focusing on.
What world are you focusing on?
The positive. My company is booming. I don't have any problems. See, it depends on what world do you live in.
Well,
But the old earth is where all of these things will be left.
what happens if you don't want the change? What happens if you want to live in this old world? That
You'll
call
stay
it?
with what you have created.
So where are you going?
I'm going with what's beautiful and positive.
Okay, so there's not people aren't leaving the planet as such, but there is a conscious
Two
shift.
planets. It's separating into two.
But I thought that's what you meant, yeah.
The old earth and the new earth.
Not a physical separation.
Yes. But you won't notice anything has happened.
So are you talking about, like, for example, like a dimensional shift? Where some of us, we're not going to know the shift's happened.
Into another dimension. It's happening now. It started in 2003 and it's happening right now. We are moving into the new earth. And people don't even notice. It's not going to just be bam and you're there. It's a gradual thing. It's been happening.
Do you think people are going to are finding, should I say, this change quite testing right now?
Well, you're going through a lot of things to see. Main thing is getting rid of the karma. You're going through a testing time. Do you want to stay with the old earth? Do you want to stay on the wheel of karma? Or do you want to move on where there is no karma in the new earth? And where it's beautiful and wonderful. Is that what you want to do?
But is no karma going to make us spiritually grow?
It's more spiritual than you can even ever imagine. And many, many people are moving there. They're moving into it right now.
Consciously or unconsciously?
They don't know it consciously. But in order to move, our vibrations and frequencies of our own bodies have to change to match that of the earth as it moves. See, the earth is a living being, too. And it's moving into its next incarnation. It doesn't care if we go with it. We'd just as happy if we didn't go with it. We're like fleas on a dog.
Well, Dolores, very briefly, what would you like to have a last message to give to the sort of audience to sort of sum up what it is that you would like your work to live on as?
Well, I've got 16 books out there on every metaphysical subject you could possibly think of. I think I've covered it all, but then they keep saying I haven't. There's a whole lot more. But the last book I wrote in June is dealing with the new earth and what's happening and what we're moving toward, 2012, all of that, which doesn't mean anything. It's just a number. But I'm still writing more and more books, getting out as much complicated information as I can. We've got to that point. We want to learn more. We need to learn more. We need to expand. We need to evolve. You don't want to go backwards. We want to evolve onward. You know, many civilizations have got to this point before, and they were destroyed because of man's greed and hunger for power. They said, this time it won't happen.